One night on the fourth month of Class B, he lied on the floor as usual. She woke up uh, on and off. Her moans sounded unusual, like they weren't quite hers. He couldn't tell if her moans were of pain, pleasure, or both. It gave him a very uncomfortable mix between disturbance and arousal. The way her silhouette would sit up and move at times in the dark looked menacing, almost threatening. He stood up and turned on the light to see her lying down in bed, with blankets over her. She covered her eyes in pain. 13 thought, I could have sworn she was sitting up with arms all about just now. He turned off the light and the silhouette was gone. He went to the bathroom to relieve himself and take a long shower to comfort himself. He woke up at midnight and was in the bathroom at 12:15 a.m. He got an hour and a half of sleep and rest was no longer possible at this point. So he decided to wait until 6 a.m. As he tuned in and out of focus in the shower, he would look at the clock. A few minutes would feel like an hour, and by the time 6 a.m. had finally arrived, it felt like it had been days. Time has never felt anywhere near this slow, even in the most boring parts of his early childhood. He got dressed and exited the bathroom. He woke her up. 13. I can't do this anymore. I am moving out. I will still pay for the studio, but you can have it for yourself. I need to find an isolated spot. 6. No, that will make me feel bad. It's cold and dangerous outside, and this is your place. I can move out. I'm the freeloader. No, this place stresses me out anyway. It's too small and expensive. Nothing good to read or do, too stuffy. If you don't want it, I'll stop paying and no one will live here. It's not you, it's this place that's too much. If that's the case, I'll stay, but I hope you come back. I know I'm making your life miserable. I'm really sorry. It's not your fault. The teachers are the only ones making my life miserable. They won't let us recover. I can't believe how corrupt they are. I need time with nature. Okay, but I'll miss you. Goodbye. Farewell. He left the room and went to the cafeteria on this cold, foggy Friday morning. He spent the last of his food stamps on a bacon, egg, cheese, and potato burrito, a chocolate ice cream shake with a cherry and whipped cream on top, and a teriyaki chicken, broccoli, and rice bowl. He drank some sweetened, caffeinated black tea with it. He felt better, but still dizzy and a racing heart. Classes were a slow, confusing blur. After school, rent was due. He made sure 6 would stay, and she confirmed. He paid. He is now $1,080 in debt, with 65% interest. He took no credits this time. He ventured out in an empty field. The solitude was healing. That night, he picked a spot between a boulder and a bush under a tree to sleep. The cold was somehow pleasant, but he kept hearing footsteps. Every time he stood up to check, there would be no one there. Eventually, he was too exhausted to care and passed out. He woke up freezing a few hours later. Monday, the last Monday of Class B. They took a break from music to talk about God. Mrs. Whammy. Okay, everyone, get into groups of 4 and discuss your belief or lack of belief in a god or multiple gods. Address its nature, personality, plans, and your opinions and predictions of such a being. or explain why you think none of it exists. You have 30 minutes. 6, 7, 8, and 13 scooted their desks together in a square. 8. I would like to start. I love and appreciate God for giving me food, water, shelter, clothes, friends, family, books, health, and a brain to work with. I pray that everyone will receive love, healing, and salvation. The universe is too beautiful and intricate for there not to be a creator, and I am thankful for the guidance in my life. 6. There is no God, because the world is way too random and chaotic. I see anarchy, not guidance. If God exists, he would have revealed himself. Millions of people are starving, millions are getting raped or murdered or both. Poverty and pollution is on the rise. There is no evidence. God is either non-existent or is evil for watching his people be tortured. But I know he's not real. 13. I don't know. I think it's a bold assumption to say God isn't real, because our universe had to have come from something. If God's real, I'm sure that we shouldn't be spoiled on being protected by everything, but to acquire wisdom by experiencing everything and learning from trajectories. Though I sympathize with your grievances, I'm agnostic, but I find it likely that theists are correct. Otherwise, how did our universe come to be? 6. Our universe may have been created by leftover energy and particles from other universes in the multiverse. Or this is a simulation, or this is someone's dream. I think theists are arrogant to assume there can only be one possibility. Atheists tend to be more open-minded as they look into secular options. 8. God is revealed by all of existence. God is not a large humanoid figure that looks down to us as depicted in modern media. God is everything, and God is love as all of nature thrives on love. Just open your mind and heart to the truth and you'll eventually feel it. 6. I did. I saw masochists, sadists, bugs eating their own, and people of the dark triad thrive on power and madness. People closed my heart. Silence in response to my prayers closed my mind. I hope you grow up someday. 8. I'll pray for you. 7. I've heard enough. All three of you are going to burn in the end. Non-believers are the losers who will be cast into brimstone. God commands us to hate our families and to have nothing to do with those who disbelieve. Otherwise, we contribute to their wicked ways. A friend of the world is an enemy of God, for the world falls short to his glory. Therefore you, number 8, and your loser friends will burn. God's wrath knows no easing and no limits. Thus he will deliver his perfect judgment. 13. I've heard BS like that hundreds of times, and I'm sick of it. Why would an all-knowing being create a fallen world with life on it, just so he can hate his children? Why create life to be dependent on him and helpless without him, instead of granting us independence, where we can walk our own paths without damnation? Why create evil just so his kids will be influenced by it and be punished forever? It all just sounds so evil, narcissistic, and unnecessary. Such a toxic concept is actually why I'm agnostic, because a creator sounds plausible, but being born into such a horrible, no-win situation does not, and it's not something I want to believe. A good deity would want us to learn and evolve, not grovel at his feet and torture us if we make a mistake. 6. 13 is right. People like you closed my mind and heart and made me hate religion. Keep your toxicity away from me. 8. God commands us, 8. God commands us to love our enemies, ourselves, our family, and even our enemies. To follow the golden rule, to give the clothes we wear to those in greater need, and to follow the golden rule. Hatred is not the golden rule, and no one thrives on it. I'll pray that you eventually see the light. 7. God cannot be judged by the likes of you or anyone. You will be judged, and you'll be sorry when it's too late. Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement's. You owe me 5 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. I will pay you when I grow rich, say the bells of Shoreditch. When will that be, say the bells of St. Stepney. I do not know, says the great bell of Bow. Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head. Chip, chop, the last man is dead. This means you'll live a life of poverty and be met with death and fire. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. For the wicked are vanquished in war, providing peace for the conqueror. With freedom, we waver from God's path and face doom. With ignorance, we acknowledge that God is our shepherd, and we find strength in him. You will be judged, and I will laugh at your screams of despair. They bickered like this for the next 28 minutes. The debate was a lot more frustrating than it was productive, and 13 wondered what the point in that was. He was very jittery the whole time, and his mind raced in rumination. Though it was just a discussion, he felt like it was some sort of omen. Like he has a choice to make. It scared him. The looks and the voices in the room was overwhelming. The lights were too bright. The voices are too loud. He plugged his ears and buried his face in his arms. He is trying not to cry. He started his day with determination and optimism, and now is about to break down in tearful sadness, not knowing why. His heart raced. He could smell the cafeteria from 2 acres away. He is 15 pounds underweight, and his hunger hurt. His fractured bones had less fat cushioning, making the chair and desk painful to sit at. The noise and light increased his body pains. Finally, the final exams for Class B began. Math. Not reading all these equations, so take a look for yourself. You may want to pause. Existential. Write a 5-paragraph essay of what you would experience as God. In binary code. Linguistic. Rewrite your existential essay from 5 months ago in Spanish. Good luck remembering it. Musical. Write down 200 of each piano sheet symbol on a piece of paper, then play it. Quantitative logical spatial. Draw a 6th-dimensional shape, then write down the grid formulas of its U, V, W, X, Y, and Z axis. Include quantum physics, quantum loop gravity, and string theory formulas to describe its mass, surface area, time dilation, and the gravitational pull it would have as a celestial object. Linguistic SQ. Switch between English, Spanish, Japanese, and any other languages you know, if any, to talk to and look for weaknesses in the other's intellect. Then use that intel to speak in codes the other will have to try to figure out. Total KQ. Run 40 miles in 200 minutes, then snuff out a candle from 10 feet away. Anatomical naturally formal science. Print a diagram of how to replicate a human body through robotics. Turbo social humanities science. Read this book on the collapse of the Greek Empire at 30,000 words per minute for 36 minutes. Engineering. Build a calculator. Computer hacking. Create a deep web platform and dox all your classmates without being doxed. Theology. Draw a triple Venn diagram describing 100 similarities and 100 differences between Yahweh, Brahman, and Zeus. Smithing. Smelt a 12-piston truck engine that is fully functional. Architecture. Build a water pump. After an excruciating Friday, the class finished the exams and went to their dorms after dinner. On Saturday, it is announced that 25 students failed, and Mrs. Whammy drove them home. 35 students remain. 13. How did I pass when I didn't know what I was doing for most of those tests? Also, how did 6 pass when she couldn't even run 7 miles yesterday? Mr. Whammy. You passed because you scored a massive bonus in MQ for making sure 6 had a place to stay, destroying your budget and sleep hygiene in the process. She passed because she earned a huge bonus in AQ for kicking fentanyl, while suffering severe depression and nihilism. Selling drugs wasn't just enabling vices, but adding variables on testing character. So congratulations, you two, for classing pass Class B. Class A begins. More topics merging and additions. Quantitative logical spatial merged with quantum physics and astronomy to form logical spatial mathematical totality, as they had to study all math branches under the sun and applying the formulas to predicting atomic activity using the particle accelerator, or predicting star positions using the telescope. Anatomical, naturally formal science fused with computer hacking, chemistry, forensics, and toxicology to make micro-world of organic structures. They had to experiment with microbes in beakers with thousands of chemicals, study their anatomy, stain surfaces with discarded experiments to measure their ages, type the data, type articles on how the data is relevant to the natural world, create nanobots, then install computer viruses into the classmates' nanobots to destroy rival bots and steal their grades. Engineering combined with agriculture, culinary arts, smithing, archaeology, and architecture to produce societal development. They had to build irrigation systems, kitchen equipment, greenhouses, hydroponics, and weld archaeological equipment to use to study the ages of structures and materials. Turbo social humanities science merged with economics and theology. they had to read books and articles about the effects of theocracies had on the economic, social, and civic conditions of nations, countries, and empires throughout history at over 30,000 words per minute. The class is called Turbo Political History. In it, students are required to read the content at 60,000 words per minute at the end of the semester, or 1,000 words per second. With just 4 classes left, 8 more were added. They are political science, radiology, psychology, knitting, full-scale cognitive quotient, FSCQ, thanatology, hoplology, and art. In political science, they had to study the 48 laws of power, the art of war, apply for a position in student government, and compete in democratic competitions. In radiology, they had to utilize x-rays, MRIs, ultrasound, CT scans, and PET scans to diagnose each other of injury or disease, then build equipment involved. For psychology, they had to study every mental illness under the sun, their causes, their treatments, how the mentally ill can manipulate the healthy, how the healthy can manipulate the mentally ill, and fallacies. For knitting, they had to harvest cotton, hemp, and other specialized plants to produce woven materials, then knit blankets, pillows, and clothes. For FSCQ, they are to learn over 300 types of cognitive intelligence. For thanatology, they had to study death, dying, grief, loss, and coping mechanisms, as well as the psychological and social aspects involved in it. For hoplology, they must research every weapon under the sun, their history, how to craft them, and how to wield them. For art, they must draw and paint anything to photographic perfection, matching lifelike resemblance, to sculpt, smelt, and weave at the same caliber. Classes are now from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Because of how time-consuming each class is, containing dozens or hundreds of topics each class is now 1 hour instead of 36 minutes. Mrs. Whammy: the economy will now change. For the next 7 weeks, starting now, you will live under communism. This means everyone will be paid the same regardless of performance. The price of all foods and all drugs will be the same. Housing and health care is free. All investment methods and the casino is shut down. Due to the horrific economic conditions of communism, utilities in the dorms will be shut down. Food will be rationed to almost starvation levels while you run 40 miles 5 days a week. Healthcare will be low quality, and you get improper doses or wrong medications if you're suffering an ailment. Along with long waiting lists, the dorms will not belong to only you, but to everyone, as it is the community's dorm. This means anyone can enter the room you're in and steal anything they want and linger as long as they want on the weekends. Work is now compulsory, not optional. You do not get to choose your occupation. An occupation you are the least capable of doing will be assigned to you. You will work at 6 a.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. This means that if you are not under curfew, you are working or studying. Also, if you violate any of the laws mentioned on day 1, you will be sent to the Gulag labor camps, where you will tend the fields, mine the ore, and move heavy rocks from one pile to another, back and forth 5 hours each, 7 days a week for the rest of the trial, missing out on lessons vital for the final exams. Hopefully you can remember all the laws, open your laptops, and check your bank accounts. And that is part 4. Have to turn it off now because I'm out of storage for recording. See ya.